fact that I think I can get through all of these in a month is beyond me. That's just simply not gonna happen. But I'm just so excited about all of these books. I guess we'll just see how we go. Also, look at my mug. How stinking cute. This is from Gabsies. I'll link it down below if I remember. Where do I even start? Let's start off with romance books I want to read. First of all, I showed this in my last month's TBR. I did not read it, so I'm adding it to this month's TBR in the hopes that I will. I am honestly really excited about this book, but I just have so many books that I'm just so excited about that I just simply can't get through them all in a month. Again, I've only heard incredible things, so I'm sure this will be one that I really enjoy. I just need to find the time. So, Summer of Broken Rules. Perfect cover too. I recently acquired this book. This is The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. I still have the price sticker on a few of these, so ignore that. I hate that this says as seen on TikTok and you can't get it off. Also, this cover is just not as cute, but they don't sell the old cover anymore. I honestly wasn't going to buy this as a physical copy, but I really wanted to read it because I've heard that it's a really fun romance and it has no spice. So it's been on my list for a while, and then I found it in Target for $14 and I was like, don't love the cover of it. Looked it up on Kindle. It cost $13 on Kindle. So I'm kind of like, I may as well just have the physical copy because then at least I can borrow it out to my friends. And then I actually feel like the money's worth it. So I have got this and I am really excited to read it. I feel like it'll be a really great palette cleanser in between some of my more intense reads because I have got some other books that will probably take up a lot more of my energy, like fantasy and thrillers. We'll see what I think of that because I've heard mixed things. Some people love it, some people hate it. So I'm very intrigued to see what I think. Then we have More Than Words by Mia Sheridan. I love Mia Sheridan. I think I've decided. In saying that, I read 2 of her books. I read Most of All You last month. If you want to see my thoughts on that, watch my May wrap up. But both books that I've read from her so far have just been phenomenal. And I'm really hoping that that pattern will continue and she might just become one of my top tier authors. We also have Alex Approximately. I think this might have been on my May TBR as well. And obviously now it's moved across to my June TBR. Again, this is a YA romance. I've heard a lot of people say they really enjoyed it. It's just really fun. And guys, I just love YA. I love YA, especially YA fantasy and YA romance because they're just light-hearted, fun, cheesy in a good way, and that's just sometimes what you need. And they just don't take as much, well, usually, they don't take as much out of you emotionally, and sometimes you just need that. So I feel like I just keep saying I'm very excited about this, I'm very excited about that, but obviously I'm excited about all of them. The colors here are looking really pretty. I love that. Okay, this one's really interesting. I'm very excited. I can't keep saying that. I'm very intrigued to read this one because I've literally not heard a single thing about this book. It was sent to me by my sweet friend Ali. Thank you so much, Ali. You are literally the sweetest person ever. I love the texture of this, but in Ali's little note that she sent, she said, "This is my favorite book out of every book I've ever read. It came out this past month and I'm just in love. It's this author's first book as well, which is insane. I hope you love it as much as I did, from Ali Lamb." And if there's one thing you should know about me, you should know that if you tell me a book is your favorite book, I will want to read it ASAP. So I have heard nothing about this book except for what Ali told me. And that just makes me extremely excited. Like the fact that I don't have any expectations going into this, I haven't had anything ruined for me on BookTok or BookTube or any kind of just thoughts put in my head by other people, apart from Ali saying it's her favorite book. That is my favorite thing in the world. So I want to get on this before it pops off, and hopefully I will love it and I can recommend it to you guys and we can all just become obsessed together. All thanks to Ali. I'll read you the blurb because it sounds super interesting. It says, "I love him with every broken piece of me, but what happens when that isn't enough? What happens when the future I was promised is ripped away by the person I love the most? He told me he would wait for me, but when I show up at his house ready to finally live the love story we've been longing for, it isn't him that opens the door, it's his wife." Tell me you don't want to read that. Like, she did a great job on that blurb because that makes me want to read it right now. So I'll keep you guys updated on my thoughts about this. If you have read it, let me know. I love it how I say there's like no hype about this online. What if like everyone knows about this book except for me? Okay, I think those are all of the like strictly romance books that I've got. I have a couple thrillers because I haven't read a thriller in so long. I don't think. Have I? I don't think I have. So I have 2 that I want to read. Again, this one is from my last month's TBR. Did I get to it? No, I did not. But sometimes when I read a lot of romances, I just need something different. And sometimes just binging a thriller is exactly what I need. So if I'm in the mood for a thriller, this is on my list because again, I've just heard incredible things about it. I have so many of you guys in my DMs on my reading account being like, "Rachel, you need to read that freaking book." I've had it sitting on that bookshelf for like 6 months, maybe? I don't know, but too long. It needs to be read. And I think I'm gonna fly through it honestly. So we'll see if I get to that this month. See, that's really ruining the color vibe we had going on. The romance ones look so pretty, and then it's like grey and red. We're going to continue ruining it with this one. But another one that I haven't heard a lot about is Too Late by Colleen Hoover. Again, I've had this book sitting on my shelf for a long time. I'm pretty sure the reason why I haven't picked it up is, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, I saw Destiny like months and months and months ago say that she didn't like this one, and so I was kind of like, that's the only review I've heard. Someone didn't like it. It doesn't make me want to read it. But then on TikTok, like a week ago, a girl came up on my For You page saying that she loved this book and she like can't stop thinking about it. And so now I feel like I need to read it to form my own opinion, because I haven't disliked any of Colleen Hoover's books so far. And I also don't have that many left. I have this one, I have the Maybe Someday series, I have the Slammed series, and I think that's almost it. Forgive me if I'm incorrect, but I think that's pretty much the rest of her backlist. So I'm very intrigued. There's this little graphic that Colleen Hoover posted herself that basically shows like age appropriateness and also like darkness of her novels with like colors. And I remember seeing this one is supposed to be like a dark romance, I think. Is it dual POV? I think it might be. Yeah, dual POV, which we love, especially in a thriller. So yeah, as far as I'm aware, dark romance, thriller vibes. Definitely not her most popular book. Very interested to see what I think. Moving on to fantasy. Okay, I said I was going to read these last month and I did not. I didn't. The rest of the Shadow and Bone trilogy. Last month I finished the ACOTAR series. I finished reading A Court of Silver Flames, and I'm so sad that that series is over. So sad. And everyone is basically now telling me that I either need to read Crescent City or Throne of Glass, and I really, really, really want to start Throne of Glass. However, I promised myself in my head that I would read the books in the Grishaverse, so the Shadow and Bone trilogy and then also the Six of Crows duology, because they're in the same universe. I promised myself I would finish these ones before I started reading Throne of Glass, because I have read the first Shadow and Bone book and I want to finish the series before I start a new fantasy series, because that just makes sense in my brain. And I just have the feeling that if I start Throne of Glass, I'm just going to be all consumed by that and that series, and I will not want to come back to these. And I really want to read these, especially because everyone says the Six of Crows duology is so good. So my goal is this month, read these two. Next month, start the other duology, and then the month after, I can get started on Throne of Glass. Right? That's the plan. Will it happen? We'll see. But I did pick up this the other day when I was at QBD. These Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan. I literally saw one TikTok about this book and I went out and bought it. That is the power of the internet, which is a dangerous thing. I don't really know anything about this book except for the TikTok that I saw, which said, if you want a YA version of ACOTAR with no spice, read this book. And I was like, that's exactly what I want. You guys know I loved ACOTAR, like the series, and I don't love spice, and I love YA. So it just sounded like it was the recipe to a 5-star book for me. Also, is this a new release? Because it's in the new release size, which is not my favorite, but I don't know. Let's see. When was this released? 2021. I don't know. Usually they're printed in this size. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this is the normal size of a paperback printed in Australia. They're usually printed like this, I think, for the first 12 months, and then they start getting printed in this size. I don't know why. It's basically our equivalent of things getting printed in hardback before they get printed in paperback, which is what happens in the US. Like, I'm pretty sure most books are published as a hardback for, I don't even know how long, a certain amount of time before they're released as a paperback. We don't have that. Not many books get released as hardbacks. We just have a lot of oversized paperbacks, which is not the worst thing in the world, but it's also not the best. But that's the only information I can give you about this book, because I know nothing else. All I know is YA, fantasy, ACOTAR vibes. Sign me up. Look how funny that looks as a larger paperback. We are nearing the end. You guys know I love Francine Rivers. I think she is just a phenomenal writer. She is a Christian fiction author, for those of you who don't know. Redeeming Love is her most well-known novel, and that is one of my favorite books ever. And I have a bunch of other books that she's written that I haven't read yet, this being one of them. I actually did start this at one point years ago, and I just never finished it. This is A Lineage of Grace, and it's made up of 5 stories about 5 women, so kind of like 5 short stories within this book. So we have a story about Tamar, Rahab, Ruth, Bathsheba, and Mary, and those are all women in the Bible, and I'm pretty sure they're all in the lineage of Jesus. So kind of like Jesus's bloodline includes all of these women, so very important women, which is super cool. These short stories are definitely not fact. It's kind of just like the author being inspired by books in the Bible and women in the Bible and kind of creating a story out of that. But I just love her writing and I love her book, so I'm really intrigued to see what this book is like. It is a bit of a thick one, so we'll see how we go, especially because I have a million other books on my list. And then for my non-fiction book of the month, you guys know I try to read at least one non-fiction each month. I want to read The Defining Decade by Meg Jay. I have just heard phenomenal things about this. Kenzie Elizabeth is a huge advocate for this book. A lot of people say that it's a book that you just need to read in your 20s, and I am almost halfway through my 20s. Oh, yuck, I hate that. That gave me the shivers. I feel like I'm literally still 19 in my head, but I'm 24. Yep. I just want to read this. I want to see what they have to say about... Oh, the font is big. We love to see it. I just want to see what this book has to say. Will I agree with it? I'm unsure. For some reason, I feel like it's going to give me kind of like hustle culture vibes, which... do we love? No. I could be wrong. I just get the feeling it's going to be like you need to basically do absolutely everything in your 20s and you cannot slow down for a second because you will ruin your life. So we'll see. I have mixed feelings. Okay, that is my physical stack, but I do have a few on my Kindle that I would love to get around to if possible. The one that I really want to read is Travis by Mia Sheridan, and the main reason I want to read that is because it's in the same book world as Archer's Voice, which is my favorite book ever, and I'm pretty sure it's about his cousin called Travis and like his love story, but I'm pretty sure Archer and Bree show up in his book, so any book that includes Archer, I will be reading it. Absolutely. And I have a feeling it's not super long either. The other ones that I wrote down for my June TBR is Darling Venom, because I've seen a bunch of the YouTube girlies read that recently and everyone seems to be loving it. I saw Haley read it. I saw Destiny read it. I want to be involved. I want to read it. I think I've only heard good things about it, so I want to check it out for myself. I would also absolutely love to read The Zodiac Academy, but I really don't think that's going to be in the cards. That's just wishful thinking, really. And then the other two books that I want to read, I only have them on my phone, is The Vanishing Stair and The Hand on the Wall, both by Maureen Johnson, and those are the second and third book in the Truly Devious trilogy. I read Truly Devious last year, but I never finished the series, and I was just thinking about it the other day, and I was kind of like, I want to read that series, especially because the first book ends not very conclusively. Let's just say that. And so I re-borrowed Truly Devious from my library and I read that last month, and now I want to read the other two books in that trilogy this month. If anyone knows how to get their Libby ebooks onto their Kindle, please let me know, because so far I haven't figured it out, and so I just read it on my phone, which is not the worst thing in the world, but it would just be nice to have it on my Kindle when I don't want to be staring at my phone for like hours upon hours. But those are all the books that I want to read in June. Will I get to them? I really have no idea. I think June and July are going to be pretty busy months. I have a lot of events and trips and fun things planned for the next couple of months because I have a lot of friends who have time off, and Liam has uni holidays, so I really want to spend a lot of time with him. So I'm very interested to see how much reading I'm actually going to get done, but at least you guys know what I'm hoping to get through. Hopefully I'll read at least half of these. That's the goal, at least half. I did a pretty good job on completing a lot of books for my TBR last month, probably the best I've ever done. I usually barely stick to my TBR at all, so it'll be interesting to see what I do in June, but I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please let me know which books you are hoping to read in June. I would love to hear what's on your TBR for the next month, but I love you guys and I will see you soon in my next video. Goodbye.